Okay, sorry. My bad. I was doing something. Anyway, yeah, I thought it was a good match. Intriguing. It was good for what it was. It was definitely gave Virgil a plus on that one. So yeah, I gave that 4.5.
Yeah, I did a 4. There's not much you can do about a squash. Although Virgil did the best he could to try and portray it as like, I'm going to try and use my speed, and it just didn't work out. And this is kind of something I touched on. And this is something I kind of touched on before. They go into the next segment with Perfect and Savage gloating about the win and how they were set up. So this is, again, adding to that story that they kind of kept going from the previous match. The next match, I think this had way too many people involved in it, but you have the Beverly Brothers with the Genius on the outside. Then you have Money Inc. with Jimmy Hart on the outside. And then you have versus the Natural Disasters, which are Earthquake and Typhoon, with the Nasty Boys. And this one was where if a member of the tag team was pinned, that tag team is eliminated. This was a cluster, was it not?
Yeah, it was more. Basically, that's a good way of saying it's a cluster. Honestly, it just didn't. I say more of just one of those matches. It was probably look good on paper to some people. To me, it was like we'll see how it was. Kind of one of those matches is kind of a filler for what it was, but I gave it a 3.
Yeah, I can see you doing that. I did a 5. I actually gave him a little bit than that. Yeah. But it was basically based upon the Beverly Brothers were eliminated first. Then you had Money Inc. versus Natural Disasters and Nasty Boys, which was kind of like a comfort behind try to win on this one. There was a hot tag to Typhoon, but the IRS ultimately eliminated the Natural Disasters, and then the Nasty Boys ended up winning by pinning IRS after Typhoon was eliminated.
Mm-hmm.
Then there was a hotline ad that popped up talking about this. I think it was the SummerSlam hotline, if I remember correctly. Then that leads into a match of Kamala versus The Undertaker. What did you think about this one?
Honestly, it was interesting to me. They called it the coffin match back then. It was. I thought it was interesting. That was a great match. It was two bigger guys going at it. A stipulation match, special kind of match. I thought it was cool. One thing I did like about it even more, Kamala had acted nervous during the match.
He definitely sold that he was afraid of it.
Yeah. I really liked his sell on that. Great. I mean, I thought he did a wonderful job. Both guys told a good story. Honestly, even though there wasn't much of a build for that match, I think even just the match itself, period, the storytelling in the match was just right on par.
Right. And I think that was the main thing for it, honestly, is telling the story of Kamala being afraid with it. Although, honestly, with this whole casket thing, the hammering of the nails into the casket after Undertaker won, I thought that was way too long. I'm glad that they moved to just shutting the door, because watching him hammer all those things, it's like, okay, this is no longer interesting.
Yeah. No, I go along with that very much. So the only way I think that you would need to hammer in the casket if you're going to do something special with it. But just going to close it and win the match, so forth, so on, that's a little bit more detail than there needs to be.
I want to say that Bobby the Brain actually made a comment about Kamala hearing the hammering in there. I can't remember exactly what he said, but I remember him making a reference to that.
Yeah, I don't remember what he said either, but yeah. Well, of course, with Bobby, you never know what kind of comment he's making either.
Right.
Yeah, I thought it was a good match. I gave it a 7 just to say it was 7, but honestly, it could even deserve more than that.
I actually did a 7 as well.
Yeah, there really is. I thought it was a good storytelling for two big guys going in there and doing their thing, great sells. So I can't complain, really. It's Yeah, it's like when two guys get in the ring, sometimes it can get a little bit, I'd say I don't say the word boring, but I would say it's too long. It gets not enough for entertainment.
Right.
Anyways, yeah, it was a great match.
Then they move into a backstage segment with Shawn Michaels, and they're talking about the match against Bret Hart, and asking Shawn about where Sensational Sherry is. And one of the things I picked up on, because this leads into the match with Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels, this is the first song that Shawn Michaels had for when he was a singles competitor, which has the Sherry singing it.
Sherry, yeah, she's singing it.
Which, it was very weird for me hearing that.
It was, I remember that, her doing the original vocals on the song, but yeah, that was it was weird back then. It was a lot better with Shawn, I think it's
Yeah, it's Shawn now.
But yeah, Sherry was a great manager, ballet, however you want, more manager, honestly, the way she portrayed her character. But yeah, she did great, and it was different hearing her vocals on that one though too.
Yeah, it threw me off because I'm like, I know this song, but it sounds so weird.
Do you know who did that music?
Was it Vince McMahon?
No.
What?
Jimmy Hart.
Oh, I believe that. He do
a lot of them, yeah.
American Made too.
I think he had part in it. I think Jim Johnson did a lot of that too. I mean, back then, Jimmy Hart did. Obviously he's in bands and everything, and he was younger. But yeah, he did. I think at least
I know he did the NWO song.
Yeah, NWO song. There's a few tracks out there, songs. I can't remember who else he's done right now, but I think he actually did he do the Honky Tonk Man's theme music too? I think it was, but he did Sean's music, back then, and he did good with that. But it was interesting to hear his voice on that. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say one of the things I noticed in this match. This is before Shawn Michaels changed his finisher to the Sweet Chin music because he did a super kick as a setup to the teardrop suplex.
Yeah,
and then I gotta give Brett full credit on this counter. Shawn Michaels went for a missile dropkick, got reversed into the sharpshooter, and Brett won.
Yeah.
So this is not the screw job match, obviously. But what did you think?
Were you expecting the screw job to be on this match?
No. God,
I'm about to say, I know you. I'm sorry.
It's a Brett versus Shawn match. I'm always gonna make whenever there's a Brett versus Shawn match, I'm gonna make a reference to the screw job.
No, I knew better than that. But like, wait a minute. Hey, wait a minute. Yeah, we're a few years away from that. Anyway, that's funny. It was not their best match, but it was for what it was. It was good. I mean, that was not their. They did house shows, but they're still trying to get used to what they're doing in the ring. But it was good. I'm not saying it was a good match. I gave it a 6.
I gave it a 7.
Yeah, we're not too far, but I said it was a good match, and for what it was, and the more that they worked with each other, the better it got. But yeah, I thought it was a good match. So
there's people that are just good foes for each other, and Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart are definitely one of them.
Oh yeah, by far.
I think Sting actually has 2 good foes: Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan.
Oh yeah.
I think those are honestly his 2 best. DDP. I mean, DDP had good matches with a lot of people, but I think his good foe was really Goldberg.
Honestly, one of Sting's better opponents on that list needs to be is also Steamboat.
Yeah, I could see that, but I mean, when people really think of Sting, they think Flair and Hogan. When people think Shawn Michaels, they think Bret Hart.
No, I mean, I get that. I'm just saying, you go back in the ring and, especially for old school going back, it's like when they got in the ring, Steamboat and Sting tore it up very much so. But no, actually, absolutely, he had a lot of great best battles. He had was with Flair. I mean, storytelling wise, with obviously face and heel. But yeah, I absolutely. I understand what you're saying. Yeah, Brett and Sean, they had a long history. Years to come after this, obviously. But yeah, it was a good starting point for them too. I mean, as far as being more than WWF title matches.
Yeah, and on those for like perfect foes, I think Cena's perfect foe was actually CM Punk, not Randy Orton. I actually think CM Punk was the better foe for him.
I can't say better. I think, honestly, my opinion, it was a great foe for him, great opponent, all around good storytelling. I just think that if you're gonna go off and make this, you go back into the attitude era if you want, or leading up into that. You have that goes go-to opponents like you have with The Rock, you have Austin and Triple H, and of course Taker. It's his best matches. I mean, I think the better ones obviously is with Austin and Triple H, but you have the go-to ones with Shawn and Brett go-to him. But Cena, I thought Cena did get CM Punk obviously, and he had Triple H and he had Orton, and that was his top stuff. But yeah, CM Punk and Cena did some great storytelling for him.
So between these two shows, which one do you think was better?
It's really in some ways Survivor Series beat it.
Yeah, I have to agree. Agree.
He had different type of storytelling, different type of booking, but booking was a big thing.
Yeah.
But I'd say Survivor Series outdid it. Back in these days, WCW's booking was not exactly up to great par. But yeah, I definitely say if we were going to do a winner or loser, I would say definitely the better one was definitely Survivor Series.
Yeah, I would have to give it to Survivor Series. I'm more of a WCW fan in general.
Mm-hmm.
But the Survivor Series was more entertaining. It had honestly good matches. There was good matches with a WCW, but I think the two main that kind of lifted up Survivor Series were Razor Flair versus Perfect and Savage, and Shawn versus Brett.
Yeah, if you really compare WCW and WWF pay-per-views during their long history, I mean, yeah, there's some pay-per-views that are better than others, of course, but especially when they got to Nitro, they put some good stuff on, good shows. Of course, you had Hogan came in there and Savage and etc. WCW was more like, hey, let's put our best stuff on for Nitro, and their pay-per-views were still pretty good. Some of them were better than others, but they would put more concentration later years, even more so, into the Nitros, and obviously that's a big thing. Not even I'm saying that's what you and your boys in the back had said for years. They had more of the bigger focus was on Nitro, but yeah, WWE did have some great pay-per-views, but WWF put concentration a little more pay-per-views.
Well, it makes sense though, right? Because WCW was owned by Turner Broadcasting. Turner Broadcasting needs to make money off of ad revenue. They're going to get the ad revenue from Nitros. Now, what would be better on them is to focus on Nitro and then make it pay off on pay-per-views. WWF operated purely on, okay, we make majority of our money from the pay-per-view buys because, let's be real, WWF sets the pay-per-view rates. And they do get the contracts from USA for the TV shows, but they don't make the ad revenue that Turner was worried about. So it makes sense why WCW focused more on Nitro than WWF, and WWF focused more on pay-per-views. Well, but there is plenty of good pay-per-views that WCW put out.
Oh yeah, definitely. When I was a kid, I was always wanting to watch pay-per-view just because it's just interesting. But they're on top of all that, Bischoff and as Turner himself. They wanted to put the better show on Nitro to beat out WWF. Then and that took a drop on the pay-per-views all the time. I said the WWF back then was more focused. Also, like it's due to build-up. WCW is more like they're working more of week to week as far as just to outrun. Which they beat him for 83 weeks.